Hello and welcome to this next GreenStuffWorld team tutorial. Today we're going to take a quick look at how I would create a mud filled scrapyard base. So as you can see here, we've got a GreenStuffWorld plinth, which is 8 centimeters by 8 centimeters. We've attached in the center here a small slice of rough cork, and then on top of that we've got the mounting system which comes with the miniature. This is going to be like a orc scrapyard, so lots of wet mud, lots of rust. Down in the corners here I've placed some snipped off sections of the GreenStuffWorld Crunch Times scrapyard base, and that's all going to be glued down using my favourite glue, which is the GreenStuffWorld Instant Glue, which is absolutely brilliant for everything to do with basing. Forms a real fast and solid hold. So we're going to work through really quickly and show you how we create a orky mess. Let's take a look at how we do this. So first things first, we've undercoated the entire base with a black primer of your choice, and the first thing we're applying is GreenStuffWorld Ground Texture, and this is Middle Earth. Now as you can see, when I'm putting this on with a spatula, this is going to create a really beautiful texture. Now the job with this is I'm not actually using this for the colour, I'm using this for the texture, because I'm going to paint over this. But this is pretty much the ultimate mud texture, and we can imagine an orc scrapyard would be full of wet, horrible, gloopy mud. So the first job is we're just filling in those gaps in between the crunch time plates and the cork mount to start to build ourselves some horrible, dirty, brown, muddy earth. And as I say, I'm going to go back over this and show you how to create some further texture and contrast with paint shortly. As this dries, you'll find that every little undulation sets in place and you end up with a really gloopy, wet looking mud. There we go, you can see that's all the areas filled in. Now the next job is I'm taking two of the new GreenStuffWorld Opaque range, which is Feral Brown, and another beautiful colour from the Opaque range, which is Firethorn Brown. What I'm actually doing is, you'll see as I go off to the side here, I'm picking up a small amount of each and I'm wet blending them. In other words, placing the darker colour, and then while that's still wet, dabbing in the lighter colour to start to create the variation and pulling them around. And I'll do this over all the areas which are exposed in black currently, and this will create a really beautiful variation of this wet, rusted mud. And the Firethorn Brown's definitely got some orange in there, as you can see as I start to pull that through now. But as long as you keep working this paint together, you're going to wet blend it on the surface, and this creates just such a beautiful colour. There we go. So already we're looking like wet, gloopy mud there, perfect for an orc base. And then we're moving on to these checker plate areas, some scrap metals which are laying around in this orc scrapyard. And what we're doing here is we're using GreenStuffWorld Gunmetal Grey, which is a metallic silver, and we're going to treat this afterwards with some rust and patina. And I've actually gone through and based the concrete sections as well in a grey colour. There we go, nice and carefully, just getting a nice clean coat on that. You can see already the pop of contrast compared to the mud. Right, moving on really quickly, we're going to start working on our mud areas. What I'm doing here is I'm gently threading, letting the brush find the contours in between all that mud texture that's dried. And this is GreenStuffWorld Medium Rust. It's a liquid pigment, and it's really, really wet and runny, but what I'm allowing it to do is to run and pull in these little cracks and crevices that have formed where I've put the mud texture on, and this gives us the illusion that we've got some rusted, patina filled water which may be running through this mud area. You can see now that looks really, really gloopy and rusted, perfect for a scrapyard. And now on top of that, this is GreenStuffWorld Orange Rust, again a liquid pigment, and we're just dabbing this on gently. And there we go, we can start to see how we're building up this kind of muddied, rusted area, and letting the brush find the contours very gently and letting it pull up in some areas too. When this dries, it will dry in almost like a powdered effect, but it just gives a beautiful There we go, you can start to see, it gives a really beautiful rusted and patinaed effect. Now onto the metal areas, including the barrel and the other little discs and bits of scrap that are lying around. This is GreenStuffWorld liquid pigment again, and this is turquoise oxide, which gives us that kind of heavily oxidized look, and just tapping around the very edges there, making sure any rivets and bolts have got a little bit of patina on them. And you can see how quickly there, using the grain textures and the pigments with some of the new amazing Opaque series, we've got a really convincing muddy scrapyard. See you again soon. Thanks.